Hey, everybody, this is Eric with the Drum Addict. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Backbeat. I'm super pumped today. I've got my friend Trey Bledsoe here, all the way from Kentucky, a place where I lived for many, 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 many years. How are you, Trey?
What up, dude? You are so professional with these intros, man.
Oh, it's all stuck. It's all stuck in here.
That's like you just rolled right through that. We've been chatting for what, 10 minutes or something, and you did that, and I was like, man, he just got so professional.
He's like, there's a switch. It flipped, and they're like, all business mode.
I was like, okay, we're on, we're going. And now I'm driving us right back into back to casual town. So what is up, dude?
Yeah, man, just I've been so excited about this and so glad you were able to hang out with me today. And let's you normally start talking about like what got you into drumming, but I'm going to shift it around because I noticed that you're in your studio.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about your space.
It's kind of just a makeshift thing. We moved into this house. Oh man, it was the year that everybody can let me have it. If there are Wisconsin basketball fans out there, they can let me have it. Because it was the year that we had the 38-0 team and Wisconsin just crushed it. So what was that, 2015?
Oh my gosh, dude, I don't know.
I think it was 15. That was the Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker when they were freshmen, and Booker was coming off the bench. I think that was it. So 15. So we were here for a while, and then this room was I don't know what this room was, to be honest. So I don't know. I don't really know the dimensions on it right off the top of my head, but just slap some black paint on it to get things started, and then kind of read up on some, affordable ways to dampen it and to start to try to get some decent acoustic response in here. And then it's just been an ongoing process. But I dig my little space, man. It's not a pro studio or anything like that, but the more time has gone on, the more I've kind of got used to it. So
You definitely know how to mix your kit for the space that you're in because your mix is one of the best that's out there.
thank you, man. Now, and I have touched on this and other things. If you back up, I certainly will implement sampling in certain instances. I will use tricks at my disposal to try and get the kit to sound right. Now, a lot of that though is kind of like, I don't know. I'm not a pro audio engineer. I'm not anywhere close to that. So I enjoy the process of mixing. There are weeks where I honestly like mixing more than I like playing drums. But with that said, it's an ongoing thing to like, okay, let's keep introducing more and more and more of the real kit. So there are a number of instances where it's straight acoustic drums with, a lot of help from. I love Easy Mix. Have you used that before?
No, easy mix.
Okay, Easy Mix is affordable, and it's just a number of different presets that come with that. Now you can kind of tweak them as you go, but Easy Mix was it was awesome when I first got that because with Slate it has presets, but Slate's a little different. Slate Digital has got that's a rabbit hole that goes way down there. For me, Easy Mix was just one of those programs where it was a little more user friendly for guys like me that don't exactly know how to pull up something and say, I'm going to start using parallel compression. It's like, no. What's something that's like drum room, big drums?
Right.
So,
Yeah. Large room. Thank you. That's
large
good.
room.
I like that.
Reverb that's not, enough to make you go insane. But yeah, I enjoy that, and I'm gonna stress, Easy Mix will never pay me or give me free things for saying that. That's fine. I'll continue to pimp their stuff. So there you go.
That's right. It'd be nice though if like they're like, oh hey, this algorithm picked up that Trey mentioned us. Let's throw him a bone.
You know what, man? If I held my breath, I'm joking. I'm no way I'm holding my breath.
So that's funny. Tell me about what you're playing. I know you're playing some DWs. Which series is that?
Just a collectors. That's it. Just DW collectors, man. What is the finish? I'm trying to remember the finish on these. Oh yeah. Smoked glass contrail. So, and that's honestly that's like the entirety of why I got this kit. I didn't look at the ply. I didn't look at the type of drum. I didn't look at anything. I just saw the finish on them after I'd saved a considerable amount of money over a considerable number of years. I saw the finish and I went, that one.
That's it. Yeah.
That was it. That was it, man.
I get that. I'm a visual person. Yeah. So like I might gravitate toward, like, even if I knew the specs, I might go, yeah, but that looks really dope, you know?
That was pretty much it. And speaking of that, I mean, you are cranking out, you're cranking out art, man, on the snares that I'm seeing. You got how, if you don't mind me, I'm not trying to like completely switch roles, but I gotta ask you, like, how long have you been able to do that?
No, sure. Well, in terms of works of art, I do have to give credit where credit's due. Like, it's on the website, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that, like, if it's a basic thing, I did the finish. You know, if it's like the Christine car that we did for Michael J Drum Channel, we have an artist that does that. We contract him out, and he is a god among men in terms of art. He makes his living as an artist, and so I could be like, hey, I have a customer that wants to put the front end of the Christine car from the Stephen King movie on a drum. Can you do it? He's like, yes, I can. And so then we just, we keep the customer in, from sketches to layouts, in the design. And then I get the drum back. I just went way out of focus. I get the drum back, and then I just, lacquer it for at that point. Man, why am I so blurry? Do I look blurry to you?
Hang on. I don't have my glasses on, so everything's blurry.
Everything's blurry. Everything's blurry. I totally understand.
Take your time, man. It is,
it's all good. Let me see if weird. I don't know what it's doing.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Is that it?
No. Maybe. Anyway, I'll just zoom in on your part of the screen, which is in focus. Oh. No, but man, I honestly had this bug to want to build a snare drum for myself, and so I just started researching, and found some suppliers, for some of the hardware and such. Found a guy that was selling a shell that I wanted to try to noodle with, and then I had so much fun doing it and learning through the process. There's like a video where I did the whole thing, and I didn't know what I was doing. I've never been a handyman, and so it was kind of funny.
Man, see, I thought for sure you would have had a background with plenty of things of that nature. So
I just watched the videos and then figured out what tools I needed to have to be able to cut our own bearing edges and all that. Found the right bits to use to drill clean, and not get splintering on the wood. And a couple good friends that were like, hey, I'll show you how to use a router properly. I'm like, awesome. And then I just try to learn it. And that's basically, and then we have people be like, will you build me one? Will you build me one? And we're like, yeah, sure. And I love doing it. It's so relaxing to me.
Man, all I can, it's almost like, I don't know. The admiration level I've got for the product that you have put out there is through the roof, Eric.
Oh, thanks.
That's not one of those things just where I'm saying it just to blow smoke in any way. I find that amazing. I can't even build a bookshelf, man.
Well, I couldn't do that either.
That's amazing to me. I don't know how, like, and like, you find it doesn't stress you out. Like, the process is enjoyable and you're good with all.
Yeah, but what's stressing me out right now is my fuzzy camera. It's not even focused on anything. Like everything's out of focus, and I don't know why. Yeah, no, dude. Like we get one of the things that got me thinking, oh well, maybe we could do this. Marcus Drums was talking to me, and he goes, he said he's mentioned that like SJC gets their shells from Keller in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I was like, what? Well, it's where I got my shells from was through a distributor for Keller. And so I was like, oh, cool. So when we order a shell, it's just it's just a raw shell, no bearing edges. Now, the first couple we did, they cut the bearing edges for us because we didn't have the tools for it. And then I marked and drilled and finished all that stuff. But now we're cutting the bearing edges, the whole 9 yards. But yeah, I love it. And I've I'm like I appreciate just your kind words about it, man.
They're sincere as they can be, man. I don't know. I just like I have trouble even to this day. If I have to change a bottom snare head, there are a number of words that come out before I start that because I already know it's like I'm gonna be here a while.
Gotcha.
Building a snare? Oh no, man. So, but yeah, I've got Keller. Now let's see, Keller does DW shells, don't they?
I don't know that for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me. So there's a lot of big players that get their shells through them. Now that's where we get all our maple shells. We get all of our birch, cherry, etc. from Nordic shells. And if I remember correctly, Bill Dedamore, who owns Pork Pie Percussion, is part owner of Nordic shells. And then all our metal shells come from World Max USA, which is where Pork Pie gets their metal shells. And so yeah, we've just been fortunate to find the companies that are, doing it, and they're great to work with too. But
whether anyway. It's Pork Pie, SJC, it doesn't matter. It could be any number of those type companies. What you're putting out, I hope they are fully aware of it.
Oh well, I eventually I hope they catch it, but
yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, after this, I'll get with you because I've got to get one of your snares in my setup here because that's you. Number one, for all of the reasons that I've told you, they look phenomenal. They sound on the videos that I've seen. They sound fantastic. And I'm just saying this as a potential customer. I've got to get one of those in here so I can check it out for myself.
Oh, well, man, I appreciate that. Checks in the mail. Sure. I'm just kidding. No.
We did not discuss this in advance. This is something where I'm just genuinely. So there we go.
No, yeah, I probably should have made that joke, right? Like because then it makes it sound like we did discuss it ahead of time, but we didn't.
I do all that. I do it all the time.
We definitely did not discuss it. I appreciate it. Well, okay, so let's talk about what got you into playing drums.
Let's see. It was like it became abundantly clear that basketball and baseball did not love me as much as I loved them. So that left me at somewhere around. I kind of got a late go at this, so I'm going to say I was really 16 or maybe a little after that before I started to actually sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna see if I can really do this. And I think it was the traditional thought at the time where it's like, well, girls might like this too. So that's let me just tell you that doesn't really pan out. So the end of that story for you. But still, it was kind of the thought at the time was like, okay, girls may dig this, but once I got past the superficial stuff, like I want to have a drum riser and I want stuff to blow up behind me. All those things are cool, but when you get past all that, there's still just a connection that you have with drums, and there's even after all these years, I can still get frustrated with a number of aspects as it pertains to playing, but just being able to kind of have an outlet for that aggression and that, and
Yeah.
honestly, just the beauty of it. I mean, there's that part of it. So I'm still not tired of them, man. I still like doing it.
That's awesome. I love it. That's when it stops being fun. What's the point, right?
Time to go.
Who were some of your earliest influences?
Probably like the first one that I remember. Like I remember the first actual influence was long before I even had any sticks in my hand. I have no idea how old I was. So there was Kiss, and there was just everything that was Kiss. So I don't know, I was 4, whatever it was. And anytime they would show up in a magazine or on TV, it's just my little 4-year-old face probably being like, I didn't even think they were from Earth. I just didn't. I just thought, oh, this is so cool. So, mom, to her credit, again, can't remember exactly how old I was. Kiss came to Knoxville, Tennessee in either 78 or 79, somewhere in there. And I mean, I'm like this tall. She took me, dude. She took me to a
Wow.
Kiss show. We're like in the very, very top of Thompson Bowling, or what? No, it wasn't Thompson, but no, Thompson Bowling was not there. So it was the, I guess, Civic Auditorium or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, we're at the top, and I can't recall anything from that age. So I looked up not that long ago the set list from that year and when they were in Knoxville. And they started with a song called King of the Nighttime World. The second I read that, man, I could remember it. I could remember just that. I could only remember all the, you wanted the best, you got the best. The explosions and them like dropping out of the sky and all this.
Awesome.
And I was kind of like half scared and half excited and all of it. I always wore jean makeup. So, but anyway, that was a huge influence, even with the gap that happened between Kiss and between drumming, the theatrics and the huge, bigger than life thing. But then by the time I actually picked up sticks, it was probably, man, Tommy Lee's got to be up there at the top just because he made it look really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was about it. And again, I wasn't playing drums at this point, but I remember seeing Looks to Kill. It came on a show that was called Night Tracks because it was like you had to pay for MTV at that point. So we had Ghetto MTV and Night Tracks. But I saw that
MTV. I love it.
So I was like, well, man, that's awesome looking. But yeah, it seemed like any video that came on with him, he just made it look cool. But then going past that, it was just an array of players, man. I remember a dude, I mentioned this guy's name a lot, Randy Castillo, who was with Ozzy at the time. You ever watched any of his stuff with Ozzy?
A little bit. It's something that I've been actually needing to dive into a little bit more because, quick side note, there's an amazing documentary on Netflix. I want to say it's called Rumble, but it's about Native American influences in rock and roll, and they talk about Randy. Yeah.
Okay. And he would be in any conversation that has to do with that. I saw Ozzy and seeing Castillo live. That was awesome. I mean, he just went at it with so much energy and so much passion, and he refused to be ignored. He may have been in the back of the stage. I mean, Ozzy, let's face it, Ozzy's going to eat up the attention. But I thought he had a fantastic band at that point because when I saw Ozzy for the first time, it was Zach, and Zach probably was, I don't even know if Zach was 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
I guess, I don't know. He was young, man. So it was Zach, Geezer Butler, and Randy Castillo. That band smoked, man.
Wow.
They were incredible. But yeah, let's see, Tommy Lee, Randy Castillo, Vinnie Paul. Second I heard that was, forget it. Vinnie Paul was probably the cat that I heard and changed everything more than anyone because his sound, his discipline, his approach, all of that was, I don't know. And then you got to throw in Lars, man. There's just no way around it.
That's awesome. I just recently jumped in to listen to some Metallica because, like, I grew up listening to a lot of Christian rock. So, like, being in the community now, I'm like, yeah, man, I've never gone and listened to, like, to a lot of Metallica just because I just hadn't gotten around to it. And I was like, dude, I know people can sometimes kind of be critical, but, like, the dude is a solid kick butt drum player. I mean, he is just a beast.
Man, I think I saw this somewhere. I think it was Blackened. Maybe he invents his own time signature. I can't remember like how this description went, but it was so true. It's like a car that is so close to the edge at all times. It's like, and he always pulls it back on the road. It's just
that's cool. That's good.
Lars is his own thing. And you said Christian music. We're going to have something in common here. One of the very first things I was allowed to go see was Ichthus.
Yeah, in Wilmore.
Yes, it was Ichthus and the band White Cross. White Cross was the band that year.
Yes, White Cross. Loretta and I were just planning out CCM month for March, and because we're nerds and we plan that far ahead, and I had like 6 White Cross tunes, and I'm like, which one do you like better? And I think we landed on Red Light from the Triumphant Return album.
That one.
And anyway, so White Cross, you saw White Cross at Ichthus in Wilmore, Kentucky.
Yes, I did. I was allowed to see that. That was a concert where it was like, okay, we can do this. I'm gonna throw one out if I get the name. Attention, please.
Yeah, that's off that album.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I consider that one a request? Put that one.
Yes, absolutely. That was in the running. So
okay.
Maybe it'll just have to be a drum cover, and not necessarily for that month, but like just put it in there. If I can get my double bass thing working better, maybe, because that whole end of that song, like the whole outro is
it's busy and it's got some really, really cool intro action too, man.
Yeah.
They come in with that. And then it does the build up and then it's straight into support noise type action, man. Some of that. It's
Yes. It'll be like my own little like simpleton take on it.
I'm trying to remember that. I remember it's got a no. And then it does something from
and then it just
something like that. But anyway.
Yeah, I love it. Fun real quick story, because I feel like I spent a lot of time talking about Attic Custom Drums, so I want to hear from you more. But when I went to Bible college when I was 18, I hooked up with this dude in a band who actually was their original bass player for White Cross, John Sproul. He played on their debut album and on Hammer and Nail. And then I think, I can't remember who came in after that for the Triumphant Return album. But anyway, it was really, really cool.
They had, it seems like, and again, I'm going off memory, which that's not necessarily a good thing at this point, but they had like a vibe that was similar to Rat. I don't know.
Especially vocally, I felt like, definitely, yeah. When I eventually heard Rat, I was like, hey, these guys sound like White Cross. Though the opposite was probably true.
Yeah, and I don't know, but from what I do remember, they did a great show, man. And that's for anyone interested, they're still doing that festival, aren't they?
I don't know. I know they had some issues with ownership of the festival grounds changing over, and so I don't know if they're still doing it. But I never made it to Ichthus. I lived in Kentucky for 24 years, and I never went to Ichthus.
I only went once. I mean, really, that's it. So it's just one of those things, man. I think and it wasn't even at the time. It wasn't my church. It was just a friend of mine. It was his church that was taking kids up to that.
Very cool.
And again, I had just started to mess around on drums, so it was, that's just one of those things that your buddies would do back then. Be like, hey, it's not going to Rupp Arena to see a concert, but it's still cool. And it was absolutely cool as that.
Live music.
Oh yeah, man. It was 100%. Awesome.
That's awesome. Did you ever listen to Bride? They're actually from, I think, West Point, Kentucky. I'll have to send you a link to one of their albums. I think you'd dig it. Like, I think you'd be like, I'm going to cover one of these tunes. Anyway.
You're a conversation with Conway, with Mike. You the striper ornament.
Oh, yeah.
That rule.
Isn't that cool? A friend of mine that I went to film school with sent that to me. He's like, thought of you when I saw this. I'm like, woo! And
are you kidding me, man?
And I went to see Striper in 2009 in Knoxville. And I was like, I think I was in my 30s. And now I'm almost 50. And I remember thinking in my 30s, man, I hope I rock that hard when I'm 50. And so we're gonna see here pretty soon.
I'm going to tell you the fact. How old is Michael Sweet now?
Gosh, he's in his 50s for sure. Let's look it up. Let's see.
60? He may be 60, man.
He might be. Okay. In real time, we are searching Michael Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's see if it tells us how old he is.
Inquiring minds need to know on this.
59.
Okay, so he's right there.
It looks like in 2023 he'll turn 60.
Man, I don't know what he does. I don't keep up with him, but he clearly keeps up with whatever it is that a singer needs to do, because his voice has not suffered. He has not fell victim to the thing that most singers have to deal with, man. He's as incredible today to me. Anything that I've seen, man, he's a powerhouse today as much as he ever was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They've just continued to create music that they love, and are good at. I remember when they kind of came back on the scene with, I think the album was Reborn, and the cover art just blew my mind. Maybe I'll put a picture of it up here, but the idea was like they were all being reborn. So they were like goo covered in yellow and black, like they were coming out of like being birthed again. It was pretty cool. And I was like, that is intense imagery, like intense. And it was pretty dope. And I loved that album. I need to go back and revisit it. It's been a while, but
I'm gonna have to. Okay, this is another thing. All right, I don't know if I'm familiar with anything off that, but I'm gonna have to look at this picture.
Yeah, I'll send you some images when we get off this call.
I mean, I gotta admit, it kind of sounds like they're being born from a bumblebee in a way, man. The way you're playing.
Yeah, right. But that was kind of always a common comparison, right? They're like the yellow and black thing.
Yeah, it was, and I forget the verse. I remember, you would know. I don't remember the specific verse they pointed to as to how that all played into things.
Yeah. I know I think it was like Isaiah 53 something, which was the by his stripes we're healed, but I don't know how that played into the colors. Maybe they were just like, I like this color combination.
No, and I have never seen them. Big Robert Sweet fan when I was young, because there was VHS. Yes, I said VHS, kids.
I was there. I remember those. I was there. I had them.
I had me a VHS, you young whippersnappers.
You had to rewind that thing if you wanted to watch it again.
Oh yeah, you did, man. But what was it? Was it Japan? That was a really, really good show, man.
They're definitely showmen, and the theatrics, and I think the only album they didn't do the yellow and black thing was the Against the Law.
I do remember that one. Okay,
it was kind of like I think it was I playfully refer to it as their middle finger to both the secular and the Christian music industry. They were like too Christian for this group and too secular for this group. So they're like, fine, we'll just change our whole image and make a completely ambiguous album.
Yeah, they did, and if I'm not mistaken, they did that right at the tip of grunge.
Yeah.
So and so they just kind of got smacked from all angles on that one, man.
Yeah. Right.
But the tape I remember, I remember the sideways action from Robert
Yep.
Slee and the cymbals on chains,
Yep.
and it was a lot of stuff that was going on. It was like, this dude, that's pretty dope, man. That's kind of nutty, man. He's a hard hitting player too, man. He really,
Yeah.
really is.
He lays into him.
How does he play in the bell bottom action? I have no idea. How do you do that?
I don't know. I would always be getting my beater hung in the pant leg.
I have tried bell bottoms. This is something where I thought, okay, yeah, these pants are awesome. I'm doing this. And I'm not kidding you, Eric. In front of people, just camming and the whole body. It's like,
yes.
yeah, your beat go right on up in there, and yes, you are not. It's not pretty.
It'll mess you up. Yeah.
I don't know how he did that, because I think I remember him having bell bottoms.
I think there was a period where he did. I don't know, man. I don't know how he did it. But speaking of playing out, if my memory serves me correctly, you recently did some live gigging.
Yeah, and I'm not doing that much of it anymore, but it was a longtime friend of mine. His name is Todd Strickland, and he's an amazing guitarist. Todd has a knack for finding shows that are just not, run of the mill shows. So back before everything shut down, he was set to open for Poison, and he'd locked the show down. And it wasn't just, there was his, and then I had a number of other things that I was going to try to get done that upcoming summer. But he asked, he's like, "You want to do that?" And I was like, "You kidding me, man?" Yeah. So, and to his credit, he hung on to that through the pandemic and to the time it got rescheduled. So, but yeah, Eric, it was like I walked out there, and it was, I can't really express the level of gratitude that was there. I was nervous too. I'm not one of these cats that walks on stage is just naturally, no.
Right.
I've got a nervous energy almost all the time. But still, just looking around the place, it was like, I've done nothing to be here, man. This is amazing. So it was 30-minute set, which I was grateful for that. And Todd will never know how much I appreciated that, and I've appreciated a number of other things he's asked me to come and do along the way. He's a really, really good dude, man.
That's awesome. One of the things too that I've always liked about you and all of our interactions that we've had over the last couple of years is you're a genuinely humble guy, like, and very thankful for the opportunities that you have. And I think that's just speaks volumes about who you are in general as a human. Yeah.
That's right back at you. I mean, really, we're fortunate enough. It's not blowing smoke. We're fortunate enough to be able to get up, have your health, and put a smile on. You're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You really are. And I don't know. It sounds like crap, I guess, but and trust me, that's not like a way of life that I've perfected. I can remember that in the right doses that you need to have to kind of get over some humps. That's about it. But
yeah,
beyond, we all have got our aggravations and our moments, but I always want to try and be extremely grateful for just any number of things, really, man. This being one of them, getting a chance to talk to you.
Me too, man.
So,
me too. It's awesome. Well, and you've been such an encouragement too, like to Loretta and I. I think you've been one of our earliest like followers and subscribers, and but not just like, hey, I subbed you, you're welcome. But like you've
Oh,
engaged us over the years and always encouragement, and it's meant a lot to us.
I hope. I mean, man, I'm so glad you said that because it it was clear the first time that I checked out what you were doing that you put your heart into it, man. You actually you all cared and you work as a team, which I think is like that's awesome. That's amazing that the two of you have built this together. You're coming up on 1,000. How much? How far you got to go on that? You've got to be
I think
right there.
125 more.
This is nothing. You're gonna go over that hump, and it makes me like so happy at this point. Okay, sorry about that.
That's
But
okay.
no, that was my better half, and she shows up on this. If that showed up on the screen, it shows up as ball breaker.
Oh,
So
oh, it didn't show up on this end. But
okay, cool.
yeah, Loretta texted me. She's like, when you're done, I'm at your mom's, bring the puppies. I'm like, okay,
Okay.
cool.
I thought that was going to be there. They're going to be like, "Who's ball breaker?" And I was going to be like, "Ah, there's a story there." So that's. But anyway, no, you all do it. You all do everything as a team, and I don't know. It just seemed like you genuinely cared, and now you've built everything up, and you've got people that truly support what you do as they should, and I think that's amazing. I'm always still checking things out. I I I understand with comments, man. You've got your hands full, so you always know, man. I'm right there in the mix for you.
Yeah, and we appreciate that, and it's fun. It's fun doing it with Loretta, doing all these projects with her, and her creative ideas. Just, I mean, and she'll even tell me, she's like, "Don't you need to practice?" And I'm like, "Probably, yeah. I guess I should."
No, it's like there's a point to that, and I desperately need more practice, but there does come a time where unless you do it professionally, I mean, you can practice, but I mean, it's going to be in your car with your hands, or you're going to be just
Yeah.
30 minutes here and there. And I really do. I walk around with sticks just in case, it's just a little bit of time to work on my left or things like that. But it's
Nice.
not like it once was, man. So
Yeah. Well, I remember when I started playing when I was 12, my parents, I mean, my mom will still say this. She's like, we never had to ask you to practice. We had to tell you to stop and go do your homework or go play outside or something. Because I love it. But you're right, as you get into adult life, there's so many other things vying for your attention. I find that most of my practice is just working toward, the next cover.
exactly. Yeah.
I have a couple books, some great books, and I once in a while I pull them out and I start noodling, and then I'm like, I need to practice this song because I have no idea what's happening in it. So it's tough sometimes.
I can't even remember the last time I've sat down and tried to even just do like a single, double, triple paradiddle exercise. I've and I need to be doing things like that, but it's just and part of that too, though, like with that end of things, that was never really the stuff that I don't know. I should have been doing all of it, but I was way more self-taught.
Gotcha.
So by the time all the rudimentary end of things came along, and all the things that I should have been doing from day one, I'd already screwed everything up pretty good. So I had my own way of going at it, almost everything.
so
So
you learn to play by ear. You just totally like mostly self-taught.
no, it was the whole way, man. Because where I am is just not an area where you've got drum instructors. It was stuff like we were talking about. It was a VHS of Robert Sweet, and then there would be like, okay, and then here's a live show of Genesis. And
Yeah.
just from a standpoint, I've got a crappy kit downstairs in my parents' basement, and I mean, I'm serious. Anything visual, I can't explain how much that would help because I would get like that this far from the TV and just
Yeah.
stuck, and then I'd go to anything that had to do with live music and try to get any kind of angle to where I could see what the drummer was doing. And like I
Nice.
can't explain to you. Anytime I walked away from anything where it was like I dug what the drummer was up to, I couldn't get to a kit fast enough. But
Mm.
it was oftentimes it was as much what I had seen as as it was what I'd heard.
Yeah.
And then being able to say, okay, I'm going to try to do my own thing with this. So, but yep.
That's super cool. So what led you to start a YouTube channel?
Man, I don't know. I really don't. I think I had like, I had a buddy of mine, and his name is Adam McLean. Adam is a freaking awesome guitar player, and he was doing, I like, I came at him with the idea for Ariana Grande. There was like a metal remake of that. I was kind of into that at the time, and people were doing metal remakes of pop
Yeah.
songs. I was like, well, this would be cool. And Adam is a natural at this. And he did. He did everything I thought he would do. He knocked it out of the park. Those are some of the very first things that went up. And then it kind of hits you. It's like if you try to make a schedule and there's more than one person involved, you got to be really synced up, and that's
Yeah.
hard to do. And I had 2 videos up with Adam, and then it was just kind of like, well, I'm gonna try it and try something with drums only. And it was a Chemical Brothers song, and that gave me enough flexibility to not necessarily have to do a cover. But then the last time I was talking about this, I said I put it up, and I really did. I put it up, and it was like, that's it. I'm not looking. So I didn't even come back and look. Because Adam wasn't involved at that point. I was like, I don't even know what people had to say. But then when I came back, eventually worked up the courage. It was like 10 likes, and I was like, yes, I can do another one. So there you go. And then just we're off and running, man.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. And it's not like I've got a big channel or anything. We're all just doing this because there are aspects of it that we really enjoy.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I don't feel like I do a good job. I do like talk text responses, man, take way too long. But it's because I'm trying to tell everybody, I really can't thank you all enough for being so kind as to just watch.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving Dude Like Me just a place to go. And I mean that. That ain't no joke.
That's same here. I echo that sentiment. The fact that anybody would give any of their time to watch any part of one of our videos is mind-blowing to me. Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. And the fact that people take the time to even share experiences and comments, and the people you get to know through this, it is completely different from live music. Live music creates circles that you'll more than likely maintain those circles for the rest of your life. But I'm learning that this side of things, there are people that you'll stay in touch with. If I stop doing this tomorrow, man, there are people that I'm still going to continue to stay in touch with.
Yeah.
Because they've been kind and they're great to know. They're just good people, man. So it's awesome in that regard.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. We've been just some of the people that we've connected with, you being one of them, is just such a blessing and such a fun aspect to it. I didn't know that was going to be a piece to it.
Me neither.
When we started. Yeah. It was like a bonus.
Because like I thought at first when people would leave a comment, I didn't know. I was like, do you act cool and do you just give it a like and not respond? And right. I tried that for like a week, and it was like, there's no way I can't do this, man. This is not who I am. So I just had to immediately start telling people, dude, thank you. And then the heart thing, I give everybody a heart for the most part.
Yeah.
You get somewhere, it's like, okay. But
I've had a couple comments I didn't fully understand. Probably because I think they didn't really watch the video. They were just promoting something, like their own thing. And I'm like, they're like, this is a beautiful song. I'm like, this was an interview. Like, thanks for watching, I guess. There were no songs.
Great job, interview. Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, great job with the interview. That's what I meant.
Sounds great. In the interview?
Ben, your mix is on point. Again, interview.
Have you been checking out? I was thinking back to the interview I mentioned a second ago, dude, I Mike Conway's mix. I love his mix. I
Oh
think he's
yes,
sick mix, man.
and what a great dude too, and
He's cool
just
to me,
laid
man.
back. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I can't remember if I said this to him or not, but I should have. But I did tell somebody somewhere along the line. Again, I'm not really well acquainted with Van Halen's repertoire, but like, if I closed my eyes and just listened to his drum covers, I would assume it was the original.
man. He's got some things where you back up, where he's really digging in on Alex, and I mean, he can vibe that out like nobody's business, and that's a hard vibe, dude.
Mhm.
I'm cautious even thinking about going there because Alex is such a unique player, man. But
Yeah.
you are 100% correct. Mike is a fantastic guy, and he's an absolute blast to watch and to listen to, man. So
Well, I want to throw this out to you too, and I mentioned this when we talked on the phone, but um, most everybody that I've talked with like cites you as one of their favorite guys to watch on YouTube, um, too. And it's like, and I remember when I found your channel, I was like, we're gonna watch this dude. Look at him play. Like I'm holding up my phone. I'm like, this dude is incredible. And so I say that to kind of hopefully return some encouragement that you've given to us over the years. Mad respect, dude, for your. I love you as a human, and just respect the heck out of you as a player too.
don't know how much that means, man. And there's a humility factor that comes with that because I don't know what to say to things like that. But I do know just it means more than you know. So thank you, man.
Very welcome. Very welcome. And likewise.
The only thing that I carried with me by the time I kind of worked up enough courage to at least give this a shot, there was a great deal of playing live, that type of experience that was being carried into it. So I don't even know. I probably have no. I know I've overdone it a number of things, but there's still an element where if somebody's there, I don't care whether they're in front of you or whether they're watching through that screen. I want them to be entertained. I want them to have a good time. I want them to not think about their life there for a minute or the problems in their lives or something like that. So just I try to at least be entertained.
Yeah.
That's really the only I guess thing that I had as I was coming into this that I hope the two worlds are slightly different, but I think that end of things, the energy aspect of it is a constant. For me anyway. It's a personal thing for everyone. So
no, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to connect these two things. Earlier, we were talking about watching drummers on videos, and my biggest complaint, like I even remember seeing Pour Some Sugar on Me on MTV, and just I hated when they would cut to anybody else in the band.
Yeah, man.
I was like, no, go back to Rick. And I felt like that with any live concert footage I watched. And when I would go see a show, I probably would I know I did. I couldn't tell you what happened on the stage, but like I would always try to see what the drummer was doing. And I feel like the way you do your videos, I feel it's like a live video shot the way I would want to see it. All the drums. Like I don't need the guitars or the basses or the singers. I just want to see what the drummer's playing. And so that's kind of the feel I get. It feels like a live performance. Yeah.
That's what we're shooting for. As long as it's getting that type vibe, that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, in spades, man. I don't even know what that means, but I know it's good, and you've got it. That is awesome. Well, what? Let me ask you one last question here. I've really enjoyed our chat on and off the record button here, but what advice would you give to anybody wanting to start out playing the drums?
I don't know that I've really got anything all that great, man. They have a younger player today. I would have to kind of see the world through their eyes, and it'd take a little bit because the tools that are at their disposal are different than were at our disposal.
Absolutely.
There's almost, and I'm coming at that from the angle that I'm not necessarily saying that that is a great thing. I'm saying that after you kind of figure out what you want to be and how you want to be, that can be a wonderful thing. But there's almost a sensory overload from the word go. So, do you want to be a death metal drummer? Do you want to be a pocket drummer? Do you want to be a jazz? I mean, and then the second you figure out, I think I may like this, you're going to find so many examples of people that are so over the top with it.
Right.
It's almost, there's elements that are discouraging as you get going. So right there is my starting point. Don't get discouraged. As much as I would tell somebody, don't get cocky, also don't get discouraged. You've got a big happy medium between those two things. You should always be hungry to grow. You should, as a player, there should always be the next thing that you want to achieve. But it takes a little bit, and to me, it'll never be about Instagram views or YouTube likes or any of that. It's something in here, man. When you did something and you played in a way that it's like, I was really comfortable in my own skin doing things that way.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit, but each one of those experiences, be very aware of it and kind of apply it as you move forward. And just, does that make any sense at all?
It does. It does make sense. Makes perfect sense. And I think one of the advantages that we had when we were learning was that we didn't have an oversaturation of media. So you kind of watched something and then went back to your drum set, and you didn't have a choice but to kind of bring your own personality and style to what you were trying to do. Whereas now you could sit at your kit and play the same thing over and over again and almost become a carbon copy of what somebody's doing. And I always feel like the world already has, like I would just so a Dave Weckl, right? Like, but the world needs a Trey Bledsoe. The world needs, an Eric. The world needs you, right? Like, so be yourself. Find your own. Just to piggyback on what you said, find your voice in it. And I love what you said about don't be discouraged, but don't get cocky. There's always somebody out there doing it better.
Oh, shoot you.
And you can always learn,
Yeah.
So that's good advice.
You walk into any situation and there is, I don't know, I can't even put my finger on the number of shows that I've done where if I tried to pay attention to a certain way that a drummer on that same bill went at things, if I would have been easily discouraged, then I'd have been playing terrible. But I was fortunate enough fairly early on to be able to say, I can't quite do what he does, but I'm gonna stay in my lane, man. And try to take a little element from somebody that I liked. And I don't know, I don't know whether people like talking to me, but I've always just gone straight up to whoever, and it's been like, hi, tell me a little bit about how you're doing this, man.
I love it.
Watch everybody, and it's just, I don't know. So
I'm sure they loved that. I know, like, if I've ever had anybody be like, how did you do that? I'm like, cool. I'm glad it struck you that way. Let me tell you, it's so easy,
Yeah, man. I mean, but dude, this has been, I don't know. I just appreciate getting a chance to talk about this kind of stuff. So I'm not saying you're going to have a great interview at the end of this, but
oh, dude, it's going to be awesome. I've really been looking forward to it.
I hope so. So cool.
Yeah.
Well, you said, you don't mind me asking, okay, you said Bible school. So do you preach, or were you a preacher?
So funny. Yeah, no. I did go to Bible college to be, to study youth ministry.
Okay.
I wanted to go to study music at another school, and I say this with meaning no disrespect or hard feelings to my dad, but he was a very practical guy, and he was like, you need to find something that you could do to make money. and do the side, do your music, and if that turns into something, right? And now later in life too, he's like, go after what makes what you have a passion about. But so somebody was like, you'd be a good youth pastor, and I'm like, oh. So I ran after that. Hey, I like working with people, but like I hated the whole idea of church politics and working on staff. And I did an internship, so I got to taste all that firsthand. And I'm like, nope. So when in my 30s, I went back to college and I got a degree in theater and cinema performance and took a bunch of film classes. So I love to talk. I love to try to share my story just to instill people with hope and whatnot. But no, I don't. I'm not a pastor by any stretch.
Well, I don't know. I think you are. I think you have a great message, whether you are or whether you are not. I think you
Thanks.
can. I think you continue to. I don't even know how many people's lives you have impacted and will continue to impact because you are natural with that. I say that as someone. I straight up. I don't go to church. I think you can tell by now. I did for years, but I am absolutely equal parts sinner and believer. So, not going to church, not necessarily a good thing on my part, but at the same time, that does not mean that I don't very much believe in the big guy.
Well,
Because
also, going to church isn't a prerequisite for anything.
it was kind of thrown into the mix in a way to where you question that.
Yeah.
Or I in a way as a kid because it was like there was that aspect of it, and then there was the aspect of, well, we all got to get dressed up like the so and so's or whatever. And the older I've got, the more I'm telling you, man, that connection with God is so personal for each and every one of us, man.
Yeah.
I don't ever get into it with other people. If they want to just discuss something, that's fine, but
Right.
that's personal territory for me, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. I was kind of one of the things that I've been trying to do, and I think I mentioned this in my interview with Marcus, is like I've realized over the last few years how much crap has been hung on to God and to the person of Jesus. Like, and so it's like I want to understand who God is apart from us slapping the American label on him or a Republican label on him or a denomination on him. And I
Right.
think that's where so much of the stuff, like you were like, well, we have to get dressed up, and going to church is a prerequisite. Like that's so much where so much of that stuff comes from, is from all that like stuff that people are like, you know what else you should do? You know what else you should do? None of it's biblical. It's just,
No,
here.
no. And I mean, I can look at, you know, I think like if I look at everything that we're getting from the James Webb Telescope, for example, I mean that there's an inner peace to feel so small, but yet to be here and to be able to see that. And I
Yeah.
understand there are different ways that people can view the imagery that they've been able to provide and the information that it's. I can't wait. There's like it's almost like a daily thing. I'll check and see what do you come up with next. But
That's cool.
again, it's a personal thing. But for me, I I very much see God in all of that. As
Yeah.
you want me to explain how, I really can't go there. I don't know, man. But
Right.
anyway, that's what I said. It's just it's a personal thing there, man. But I just I listen to your message more often than and I think you do a great job with
Well, thanks, man. Um, I the other day where were Loretta and I was like, crap, where were we? It doesn't matter anyway. It's not part of the story, I guess. But there was something playing on the radio, and I leaned over to Loretta. And I'm like, I can't understand a dang thing the singer is singing, and I'm like, oh no, I sound like my parents when I was like 15, 16, 17. I'm like, please tell me it's not an age thing. It's just that dude is mumbling, like
that. Man, I'm at any given time. If kids were more readily available to get on my lawn, I'm right there to say, get off. That's my lawn. out. I could do that well, but I just
Yeah.
haven't been given an opportunity yet. Notice I used the word "yet" there.
Yet. Yeah, but there will come a day. And it's so funny. I love people, and I also like have an issue with um being crowded by people, like
Man,
Walmart or something. I'm like, get me out of here. Um, but then if we have people over to the house, I love that. It just
yeah,
depends on the situation for me, I guess. But
like I
yeah,
can. I had a friend of mine that said if I could come up with an extra ticket to the stadium tour, would you like to? And I just shut that down immediately. I said, I think the world of you, man. No, it's just cause, man.
yeah,
I can again going back. I've got nervous energy as a performer, but I can be on that end of it
yeah,
just because I can kind of I know that angle. But being on the crowd side, man, the idea of being like at the Great American Ballpark with 37 or 38,000 people,
oh Lord,
oh,
yeah,
dude, no, I don't know. That's just
yeah,
that's hard for me to do. It's like you
yeah.
said, it's more of a space thing, man. It's just
Yeah.
everybody right up on you. So
Yeah, we in October of 2019, before we moved to North Carolina, we went to see 21 Pilots in Cincinnati, and we had seats like way in the back, and I loved it. I was like, this is great. If I was on the floor, I would hate people. Like, just stop pushing on me. Just watch the show. And they're, but like back up there, you're like, yeah, I've got the jumbotrons. I can
no,
see the tiny little guys on stage. Nobody's spilling their beer on me. I'm totally good. Like,
I mean, oh wait, that made me remember. Is Marcus still at war with 21 Pilots?
oh,
What is it? I can never get. Wait, how did that start?
I think he just started picking at me for doing 21 Pilots covers. And so then Joey Donhow and I made the joke of like, we're going to do a collab and we're going to do a 21 Pilots cover and dedicate it to Marcus. And so now we tease Marcus. We're like, he's using the Yamaha EAD. All this I'm going to put into our interview. I'm going to find a spot to cut this in for Marcus. And he's like, maybe I'll get an E-drum kit. I'm like, what's next? 21 Pilots covers,
I was watching. I mean, it's been one of those weeks where I just kind of had to make the rounds today and get caught up there, buddy. But man, he was cracking me up. So giving away the symbol, basically farting every 30 seconds. I mean, it was like, oh my God, Marcus, I needed this, dude.
He's so
So,
funny. He's a great guy.
man, he is a trip. So,
Marcus, we love you. You're fantastic.
21 Pilots.
Yeah, woo! That's right. I'm gonna make him a playlist for his listening pleasure. Well, you guys, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. If you haven't already, please do go check out Trey B's channel. You're gonna love it. Not only is Trey an amazing human being, he's a fantastic drummer. You're gonna love what he's doing over there. You might even learn something by watching him. It's incredible. I was trying to do really good about looking at the camera because I'm always looking at my guest or myself. Do I look okay? Is my chin hair in place?
The blur totally went away, by the way.
Yeah, I'm so glad. We're gonna have like 10 minutes where it's just me blurry, but that's okay. I'll put a drawing of me as a stick figure like up there or something.
If you can make snares, you can do that. Are you kidding me, man?
Well, Trey, thank you, man. Thank you for hanging out with me this evening. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
And thanks.
No, thank you for having me. That's how this goes. I truly mean that. Thank everybody for sticking around and watching, and thank you all for everything, for real.
All right. Well, you guys,
and I've like done this with the sticks. Told you the nervous thing. It doesn't stop.
They're gonna be nice and broken in. Or broken. One of the two. Well, you guys, how many sticks do you carry there? What do you got?
There we go. There's some action for
there
you.
It is.
So. I don't know.
I love it. Well, Trey, again, thank you. And thank you guys for stopping by. We will see you next time.
See you.